During the holiday season in 2018, I filmed a trio of episodes of Unsealed that revolved around a main theme being game show conversions. I called it Your Winner because obviously the point of a game show is to win as much money or as many prizes as possible. So during that three-part miniseries, I opened up some games for the PlayStation and also for the NES. I started out with the PlayStation, opened up Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, The Weakest Link, opened up some Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune games for the PlayStation as well. And I capped off the series on Christmas Day with the opening of Jeopardy 25th Anniversary Edition for the Nintendo Entertainment System, which has a lot of personal significance to me as it's a game that I received when I got my NES brand new on Christmas morning back in 1990, which in 2020 will be 30 years ago, so I know I'm dating myself here. And speaking of dating myself, my relation with game shows goes all the way back to when I was early in elementary school. I remember watching game shows when I was homesick from school or when there were snow days, and there really wasn't a lot to watch after cartoons in the early morning. Then you would get through the news and the talk shows in the mid morning. Then you would get your Prices Right, but you would also get other game shows as well. Scrabble sticks out to me, Sale of the Century with Jim Perry, Card Sharks. And then in the early afternoon, Bullseye or Joker's Wild or Tic Tac Doe. I mean, I have a lot of history with game shows. I watched a lot of them, and I've always wanted to be like on a game show set and actually try and compete. But I don't live in California. I don't live near Burbank, so my chances of getting on an actual game show are slim and none. And I believe that Slim left town last week. So, as close as I'm going to get is with game show conversions, which is why I enjoy them so much. And in keeping with the spirit of the time of the year, since I did a trio of game show episodes last holiday season, I have a couple of game show conversions to open now as we're just past Christmas and we're getting ready to ring in the new year 2020. So I have a pair of games for the PlayStation 2 that I'm going to open that are game show related. They're very familiar. We will talk about them a little bit as we go. The first of these from 2003 is Wheel of Fortune with Vanna White on the cover. And you see the Atari logo down there. Atari Interactive did publish this game. When we take a look at the back of the case, you can see some of the screenshots. It looks pretty good, of course, with DVD-ROM media and with the power of the PlayStation 2. We were able to get some much cleaner full-motion video if you had Vanna White. Plus, the show sets looked really good. You had Charlie O'Donnell, I believe, doing the announcements and prize announcements, things like that. So it seemed even more, or it felt even more and more authentic. So as we take a look at what the game promises, the ultimate Wheel of Fortune experience. So, excuse me, I'll step back. Now you're in the game. It's all of the excitement, fun puzzles, and glittering sets of Wheel of Fortune right in your living room. Spin for fantastic prizes, solve the puzzles, and hear the studio audience go wild. Compete with up to 3 people at one time and see what it's like to be a contestant on Wheel of Fortune. Key features include the ultimate Wheel of Fortune experience. This is the second time that they've said this. Spin for fantastic fantasy prizes and solve 3,200 puzzles. Again, thanks to the wide amount of space on a DVD-ROM, you can certainly put a lot more puzzles than you could on a CD-ROM that we saw for the original PlayStation. Take a sample contestant exam. Again, I love these because it's such a tease. If I could pass the contestant exam, I should be on the show, but I'm not. Beat the clock in exciting bonus rounds and exciting action for 1 to 3 players. We're going to go ahead and we're going to open this up. This is a DVD-ROM, and this was developed by Artec Studios. So I have my handy dandy scissors right here. We're going to go ahead and open this up. There we go. I hope that everyone's holiday season is going well. I wish the safest and happiest of holiday seasons to you and your family and friends, wherever you may be, no matter how you celebrate them. So let's go ahead and get this wrapping off of there. And this is authentic. We do have the Wheel of Fortune ID sticker at the top that we will take off. Or actually, we're just going to open the case. Screw that. Feels like Deal or No Deal. Open the case. All right. There we go. So when we open the case, just going to turn the disc around. It is green and gold. There we go. Let me kind of pull back a little bit so you can see. And we're going to take the instruction manual out so we can go over that. We do that each and every episode, because that's one of the reasons I do this show, is to be able to go back through the instruction manual, something that is missing in modern video games for whatever reason. So the instruction manual, as you see here on the back, it is an ad for Jeopardy. That could be foreshadowing. When we open the manual, it is in black and white. It is not in color, unfortunately. And aside from some basic controller layouts, which you see in every manual, goes over some of the options. There's normal game, tournament, solo game, sample contestant exam is also here, and career statistics as well. All of this can be saved to a memory card, which I highly recommend so that you don't repeat puzzles. You can adjust your response time. I believe you can adjust the intelligence level of computer opponents if you're playing against computer opponents. Usually you're going to play with 2 players and have a computer opponent tagging along for the third player, and that's certainly fine. So spinning the wheel is pretty easy. Just hold down the X button, and the longer you hold it down, the stronger your spin, and then hopefully you land on a money value. Then you guess a letter, and if you haven't played Wheel of Fortune before, it is just like Hangman, but you have to spin a wheel before you can guess a letter. And if the wheel lands on bankrupt or lose a turn, that is bad. But if you land on a money amount, that is good, because if you guess the right letter, you get that amount of money, and the more money you make, you want to finish the game with the highest amount of money so you can go on to the bonus game at the end. So you can pick a contestant. It's fairly basic, and I know it's tough to see the screenshots this way, but at least you have a layout that shows all the letters that you've guessed and haven't guessed, so that you don't guess the same letter 3 times, which is certainly nice. Let's see here. There are 4 up to 5 rounds. There's bankrupt, free spin, prizes, jackpots. There are different puzzle types. Puzzle types have evolved since the show's early days, when it was very basic people, places, things. Now there are plays on words and before and after and all these other kind of puzzle types that you never really stop to think about until the 90s and especially through the 2000s. Let's see if there's anything else here. Speed up round, of course. Hints for playing Wheel of Fortune. Most players start by guessing the most common letters. R, S, T, L, N, and the vowel E, of course, is one of the big ones. What they've noticed is, or what you'll notice as you've watched the show, if you watch the show over the last decade or 15 years, is that they've tried to find phrases and words that limit those letters so that people who are guessing them and trying to get pretty easy wind up either getting just a couple of those letters or sometimes not having any of them at all. So it certainly takes some research on the part of the show's writers. You can keep career statistics as well. The sample contestant exam, again, I find pretty interesting. I just took the sample contestant exam for the PlayStation 2nd edition of Wheel of Fortune, and I actually passed, so I would have made the show had I been trying to qualify. Although I don't think that my headshot would get me much FaceTime in California. I just don't think that's the case. More about the official contestant exams. If you want to become a contestant on the actual TV show, your first step is to write into the show and apply. You can also find information on the internet at wheeloffortune.com. If your name is selected, you would then need to pass the official contestant exam as well as an informal video test showing how you would present yourself on the air. Atari does not control and disclaims any responsibility or liability for the functioning and performance of third-party websites and any content or unavailable through third-party websites. So Vanna White and Charlie O'Donnell do the main voices here, which adds to the realism of the whole thing. This is probably one of the better versions of the game that I've played. I have a soft spot for the NES versions of the game just because they're designed and developed by Rare. So you've got that familiar music. It's very simple, but at the same time, a lot of fun to play. But the PlayStation version is pretty good, and the PlayStation 2 version, I think, is even better. Also, if you have a Wii, the Wii version is actually pretty good as well. Plus, you get Mii versions of Vanna and Pat Sajak for the first time. So that is Wheel of Fortune, and we are just halfway done here as we go ahead and put the instruction manual back. I now have a complete copy of this. I only had this disc only, so I'm very happy to have this fully complete, and I'm looking forward to checking this out as I still have some vacation time left before I go back to work on January 2nd. All right, one more game to go. And this is the game that probably has the softest spot for me because this is the game that I play along with a lot. This is a game that I used to keep score on when I was watching with my grandmother when I was younger, and that would be Jeopardy right here with Alex Trebek on the cover. I know Alex isn't watching this, but if for whatever reason he happens to be surfing around on YouTube some night because he can't sleep, we love you. Alex Trebek has been a staple on this show for decades. He does such a fantastic job as such a level host, very neutral to the extreme, which is great. All of his pronunciations are fantastic. He knows his material up and down. He is really the ultimate game show host, and I know that things have been difficult for him health-wise, and every extra day, every extra show that we've had him around has been to everyone's benefit, and we greatly appreciate all the work that he's done over the years on Jeopardy and elsewhere. So this is Jeopardy. This is also from 2003, and yes, this is also published by Atari, and yes, that is a Best Buy tag there for $19.99, I believe. Yep, $19.99. I paid a little bit less than that for this particular game. Turn your living room into a game show paradise with Jeopardy, and this is the ultimate Jeopardy experience. I'll tell you right now, this is a better version of Jeopardy than is available for the modern consoles, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, and the Switch. The versions of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune for those systems suck. I'm just telling you that right now as a person who is a big game show fan. Those versions are terrible. Do not play them. So, we have here, turn your living room into a game show paradise with Jeopardy. Challenge family and friends and interact with host Alex Trebek to see who can build up the highest prize totals. Show everyone what you know in the fast-paced competition that makes Jeopardy so popular on TV. It is the closest thing to being on the show. Again, this is the ultimate Jeopardy experience featuring the unique question or answer and question format. There are over 5,200 answers. Take sample contestant exams, plural, that's interesting. Play classic solo or tournament of champions. That's a neat little addition. Wager on challenging new daily doubles, fun for 1 to 3 players. Again, this is developed by Artec Studios, just like with Wheel of Fortune, and they did a fantastic job with that, as they did with this. As we take a look at the back of the case, just so you can see some of the screenshots, yes, you do get some full motion video of Alex Trebek. We do have all of the clues there on the screen, and the board never looked so good as it did here. Granted, it got better in later years, but this was probably as close to TV as we got back then, and we were very happy about that as game show fans. So, without further delay, let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. This replaces the copy that I had, which I gave to my buddy Sam today as I was out there visiting him. Here we go. Take that off. And just like the last, there is the Jeopardy sticker at the top, so we know that it is legit when we open the case. There we go. Oh, neat. I didn't have that in the last one. We actually get some Atari stickers. That's pretty cool, I think. When we open the case, this is what we see on the inside, the Jeopardy disc and the instruction manual, which we'll take out here momentarily. I'm guessing because the Wheel of Fortune manual is black and white, this one is as well. I haven't read the Jeopardy manual in a while. Yeah, and look at that. An ad for Wheel of Fortune on the back. So the two are kind of like bacon and eggs. They go together well. If you have one, you probably should have the other because they're both fantastic games, at least in my view. And they've been so long running. They're a staple with everyone from 95 to 5 years old. Everyone pretty much knows about these shows and what they are. So this is in black and white. And again, not a surprise. This is what the instruction manual looks like on the inside. Welcome to Jeopardy! It's a game show paradise with Jeopardy! Interact with Alex Trebek, buzz in, and build up incredible winnings in the fast-paced competition that makes Jeopardy! So popular on TV. Of course, the money is not real, so don't think that the game is going to print you out a check for $15,000. That is not going to happen. So you can play a normal game, a solo game, so you can play without opponents, which I generally tend to do. The Tournament of Champions, you can play against other human or computer-controlled contestants, each of whom must have won at least 5 games or accumulated more than $75,000 in winnings. Each player must have a previously saved career in the same memory card, so that makes things a little more challenging. The categories and clues are definitely tougher here, so that is interesting to note. This is tougher if you're playing the Tournament of Champions. The question sets and the answering question sets are much tougher. There's also a sample question exam. It does say just one exam here, so I'm thinking that's all there is. Although I don't know, I haven't taken the contestant exams on these particular discs. And of course, playing Jeopardy is just like the actual show. You pick a dollar value based on 6 different categories, and you're wagering that amount of money. So if you decide to answer or offer a question for a particular answer, you need to get it right. You get that money. If you get it wrong, you lose that money. So you got to be careful not just to buzz in willy-nilly, because you can lose a lot of money and get yourself behind the 8 ball pretty quickly. Daily doubles are here, which are certainly a big deal. Final Jeopardy is also here. Career statistics track number of games won, lost, total winnings, best game score, worst game score. Eek. Best Jeopardy, best double Jeopardy round score, best Final Jeopardy round score, tournament games won, number of correct and incorrect answers as well. And we do have the sample contestant exam. Try your hand at a sample contestant exam. This is similar to the contestant exams used to qualify prospective contestants for the TV show. You have 50 minutes, 50 minutes to complete the exam. The exam is a sample only. It does not qualify you for an appearance on the actual television show. If you're considering becoming a contestant, you must take an exam administered by official Jeopardy representatives. So that's certainly interesting to note. The sample exam in Jeopardy is a good example of how the official exam is administered and how difficult the official contestant exam might be. Taking the exam is much more difficult than playing the actual game. Here's why. During the game, you are tested against 13 categories, 6 each in the first and second round and 1 in Final Jeopardy. But in the official exam, you are tested on 50 different categories with 1 question in each. A passing grade is 35 out of 50, which is a 70, which is also true for the sample exam. So you need to score 70 in order to pass, which certainly is not easy. Let's see if they credit announcers here. They should. Alex Trebek, and then Johnny Gilbert is the announcer, which is nice. You do have some visual and audio clues, which are credited here as well. Thanks to the power of multimedia, you can get video and audio daily doubles for the first time, whereas when you were playing on cartridge, for example, with the Nintendo or Super Nintendo, especially audio or video daily doubles just weren't going to happen. Maybe you could get pictures, but even then they really didn't do that because it took too much memory. So that is a look at Jeopardy! I had the privilege of playing a lot of the Jeopardy games and the Wheel of Fortune games for the Super Nintendo, for a certain Super Nintendo guidebook, which is available now on Amazon, by the way. You can check that out on Amazon if you are so inclined. I certainly recommend it. So I've played those. I've played the NES versions. I've played the PlayStation versions, the PS2 versions, the Wii version. I played the PlayStation 3 version as well, and the Xbox 360 version, and of course the modern versions. Which ones do I think are the best? Someone who is a game show fanatic like I am. Honestly, I think the PlayStation 2 versions are very, very good, and I highly recommend them. They are not that expensive. All you need is a memory card to track your progress. They're a lot of fun to play, whether it's 1 or 2 players. And they really carry the spirit of the show well. They use the DVD-ROM media very, very well, so it feels like you're interacting with an episode of the show instead of a video game version. It feels pretty authentic. More so even, I think, than the Xbox 360 and the Wii versions from Ubisoft, which are very good, but seem to be like a little dumbed down, and some of the sets look a little chintzy, even though that they're in high definition. I think that the PlayStation 2 versions are as close as I think we're going to get to the actual shows on television. So again, I do recommend them. Game show games will always be some of my favorite games to play. They certainly take me back to my childhood, back to my time with my paternal grandmother, remembering those days when my mom would take care of me when I was homesick from school. Whether it was with a cold, a flu, or that one time I jumped off the swing and busted my face open and had to go home early. These are all memories that aren't necessarily pleasant, but are still very happy ones for me, because I don't think that there are too many things when you're a kid that are more reassuring and more comforting than being cared for by a mom or a dad or a grandparent. And those certainly stick with me now that I'm closing in on 50 and no one really does that for me anymore. I would be lying if I said that I don't miss those days. Again, happy holidays to you and yours. I hope nothing but the best for you in the year to come in 2020. There are more episodes coming before the year is out. I do have a couple of pretty big games that I want to open up before the end of the year, and I will definitely get to those. Until the next time, my friends, take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next time.